Most management effort is directed up and down the organisation chart. Yet we know that it's collaboration across the boxes on the organisation chart that produces the products and services and experiences for our customers and other stakeholders. Whose job is it to manage across the organisation chart? Nobody's? So the way we create, accumulate and deliver products and services and experiences is not actively managed. We just manage the pieces and hope they all come together well. Hope is not a strategy. Optimism is not a plan. We must take control of those cross-functional processes by actively managing them. In this process insight, I want to tackle the big question. What is process-based management? What is it and who should care? And to do that, I want to explain what I think of as the core principle of process-based management. I call it the primacy of process. So the primacy of process says this. It says that in every organisation, every one of them, big, small, different industry sector, every organisation, we've got not one but two perspectives. We've got the traditional vertical functional organisation, but we also have the horizontal organisation. And it's in the horizontal direction that in all of our organisations we get work done. So we've got these two perspectives and we need to manage both of them. We need to actively manage both of them. Let's have a look at each in turn. So in the functional vertical organisation, we're dealing with traditional organisational management. It's largely about how we manage resources and all of the decisions that go with that. And the key artefact is going to be the organisation chart. And nothing changes about the functional organisation when we start adding the process view. We still need to know who we report to, who reports to us, how we group people of like skills and like experience, people of like objectives, perhaps people by geography. All of those functional elements of organisational management remain the same and remain important. None of that is going to change. So we've got the vertical dimension, call it here the functional organisation. Now, what we also need to have is the horizontal organisation, the way in which we create, accumulate and deliver value to our customers and other stakeholders. And other stakeholders might be people like regulators and shareholders, and lots of stakeholders in our organisational lives, aren't there? So this is the way in which we create, accumulate and deliver value. And by value, remember we mean products or services or experiences. The way we deliver what it is we said we would do in our strategy. So there's a thought. This is the same as saying that this is the way in which we execute our strategy across the organisation. This is the way in which we deliver on those promises we make in our strategy. Core artefact, of course, in this horizontal direction is going to be the process architecture. So this is important, and this is missing in traditional management. We have this horizontal management vision problem. And what happens when we have that as a problem? Well, a few important things happen. Perhaps the most obvious of them is that we get the classic siloed operation. You know, and our organisations are almost designed to be silos, aren't they? I mean, just have a look at the org chart. It's a bunch of boxes with lines around all the boxes. And then there are lots of lines going up and down, not so many going across. So it's almost like we're predisposed to operate in this separated, siloed way. But we can't just be looking at the boxes on the org chart, can we? What about the spaces between them? Because what we've got to be doing is looking at that end-to-end picture. And if we're not looking at the end-to-end picture, then we're likely to have a process performance at that level that is sub-optimized. If we're focusing on optimizing the pieces, we may not be optimizing the whole experience. So take an example we're all familiar with. When we fly on an airline, we like to think that we're going to arrive at the same place that our luggage does. And when it doesn't happen like that, then it's at least frustrating. But it's pretty magic to watch airlines find lost luggage, isn't it? It's called lost for a reason, and yet they find it. And probably more often than not, they find it very quickly and they deliver it to you somewhere. It's kind of frustrating but magic to watch because they've got a process and they've improved it. They've worked on it. They understand it. They've got systems. They've got KPIs. And from the point of view of the lost luggage office, it's all working really well. But for you and me as the customer, we'd like to fly with an airline who's got no idea how to find lost luggage because they've never had to. So we can get fixated on the wrong things in our organisations, can't we? We can work on fixing individual pieces, but we miss the whole customer experience. We miss, in this case, the traveller's journey, a literal journey. And that journey is from home to hotel hotel or hotel to home or maybe hotel to hotel. And the bits that happen at the airport and in the plane, of course, are important. But it's not the whole story. So which piece of this process are we trying to optimize? Are we trying to optimize the pieces that make us happy, or the pieces that, the whole thing that makes the customer experience what they want it to be? So we want to be able to make sure that we're not sub-optimizing across the organization. And also then, if we're just looking at the individual pieces and individual people, different people are looking at the pieces, then there's a very big chance of us missing problems and indeed opportunity. Things will just fall between the cracks. We don't get the big picture. We don't see that if we made a change here, it could fundamentally improve something over here. We don't get that perspective. We've just got the blinkers on. So we're going to miss opportunities for performance improvement, opportunities that might come from just fixing some performance anomaly or something that's a good idea, some new way of doing something, a genuine innovative opportunity. If we're not looking, we won't find it. Then also, what are we saying to the people in our organizations? The people in the boxes. If we're saying, or they think we're saying, you just keep an eye on your job. You just do what you're told. Here are your KPIs. Here's your team and departmental objectives. You get on and do that. And then, everything else will be okay. If we're saying that, we're not leaving them with any sense of the contribution they're making to some continuous chain of value delivery. They're not seeing how they're making a contribution to the ultimate delivery of value to our customers and other stakeholders. Or if they can see it in the abstract, they don't feel it in a visceral way in their day-to-day operation. We're all just working in our boxes. And we're going to miss the opportunity then to have a genuine organizational customer focus, a collaborative culture that just tells us that the reason we come to work is that bit that happens at the end. And we all contribute to that in important ways. So we're going to miss lots of things, aren't we? What happens if we ignore the horizontal? Well, it's a fair bit. These are important things. So this is what we need. We need to think about your organization as having two different dimensions. We certainly have the vertical, the functional organization, traditional management driven by the organization chart. But then we're also going to have now this new vision, this process or horizontal organization that tells us how we connect the dots, how we create, accumulate and deliver value, that is products and services and experiences to those customers and other stakeholders. And we need to be doing both of those. And we need to do something active about the horizontal dimension, because the organisation chart is silent about who should manage in that horizontal direction. It doesn't say anything of a practically useful nature in that regard. So we need to have this additional horizontal overlay, process-based management. So this is the primacy of process. This is what I think enables us to do genuine process-based management and to sustain it. So some summary thoughts as we come to the end of the video. I think, those first three words say it all, don't they? Processes execute strategy. It's through those cross-functional processes that we actually deliver value to our customers and other stakeholders. So why wouldn't we want to manage that? Do that, the transformation we make is that we're going to continue to manage in the vertical direction for sure, but now we also are going to manage in the horizontal direction. So we need to be doing both of those. And they're both important and they're different, and we need to be able to do both of those acts. Now that might sound like that's a lot of work, it's a lot of change, it'll be expensive. Are we building some kind of parallel management organization? No, we're not. It's none of those things, because we can do it in a very targeted way, in a very mindful way, in a very controlled manner. There's nothing that we're doing that we couldn't roll back reasonably easily if we wanted to. There's nothing that's high risk. We can be very mindful about it and take it cautiously. And that's the good way to do it, in my opinion anyway. We might end up with, say, 30 high-impact processes, but I would suggest we don't start like that. The Big Bang Theory, that makes life more difficult than it needs to be. So I think we can build incrementally, and I'd suggest to you that you don't start with 30, but start with 3. Just pick 3 processes and start doing those in an active process management way. And when we get good at that, when we've demonstrated it, when we've worked it into our other systems, maybe that'll take a couple of months, then add another 3. And then after you've got those working, and now we've got 6 under good active management, add another 10 because we're getting good at it now. And before long, maybe even 18 months, 2 years, we'll have maybe our 30 high impact processes under active management in a very professional and effective way. So it doesn't take a long time, and I think it's better to make it in that incremental way, so we can build incrementally. And we're building all of the time to keep in mind what we're trying to do here is improve organisational performance in a systematic way. We want to know what the processes are that we should be working on, so we choose the right processes to improve. We want to know how they should be working. We know how they are working. We want to know what we can do to change any performance or opportunity gaps. And we'd also like to be able to make some reasonable estimation of how they're going to perform next week, not just know what they did last week. So that's the principle of the primacy of process. That's process-based management.